I haven't been doing a lot of this lately because a lot of tournaments we've been casting have not had, or rather had rules specifically against casters doing in-game chat. But this is Go for StarCraft, and I want to hype these guys up a little bit. These are both players from Alien Invasion who I feel are a little bit underwhelmed, a little bit underhyped, and a little bit unknown, quite frankly, despite the fact that Revenge constantly makes it far in Premier tournaments, and Lillekanin, well, maybe not the best Premier tournament player in the world, is entertaining as hell. So, without further ado, spawning in the top right corner of the map from Alien Invasion, currently down 1 at the moment in this series, he's the Red Terran, Revenge. And you can find him on Twitter at AI Revenge. He does tweet when he streams, guys. But speaking of streaming, currently streaming right now, you go find him on Team Liquid. He's going to be the Green Terran, Alien Invasion's Lillekanin, who you can find on Twitter at Lillekanin SC2. Make sure to check both of these dudes out. Again, maybe it's just like that one game that enticed you. Maybe you want to see more. Maybe it's curiosity. Revenge, he didn't get to show off that game the same way Lillekanin did, right? Like, that was a big show-off game for Lillekanin. Revenge is a good player. We've cast him a lot in the past. He's tangled with a lot of Korean Zergs and come out ahead. He himself is Korean, living in Germany. He's a really talented player. So it kind of bums me out that I look at their Twitters, guys, and Revenge has got like 40. Lillekanin's got 115. Give these guys some love. Follow them. Check them out. Watch them stream. Whatever you need to do to get more enticed by them. If you're a fellow Terran such as myself, you should be entertained by these two, if nothing else. Now, Lillekanin was not going for a proxy or anything this game. Of course, it's just that earlier scout coming out because it's a 4-player spawn map, and you don't really know where your opponent is. I'm not sure what he has in store for Revenge this time, but the problem is with Lillekanin, and I really want to stress this because, again, I like Lillekanin. I watch him stream from time to time. His voice is way too high-pitched, but that's okay. One of the things about Lillekanin, though, is his strength lies in a lot of these sort of cheesier, stranger builds that don't really... I don't know how to phrase this better. Like, he basically has a crappy macro game when he plays a straight-up game. I'll say it. I really like him, but you know, a lot of his cheese builds are what allow him to get ahead enough to make what happened in game number 1 go the way it did. Now, there's a Reaper coming out of Revenge, and Lillekanin has not decided to play greedy. Some players, myself especially, I'm quite guilty of this actually, like to skip the Marine production, go straight to the reactor, get Hellenes out as soon as humanly possible. But by having the Marines out, he'll be able to position himself in a way they can look for those Reapers. On Frost, there's only 3 locations you come into the base, over here, and over here. So it'll be pretty easy for him to know what's coming and from what direction. One Reaper is actually not that big of a threat as long as the Marines start shooting it before it jumps up the cliff. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. He gets all the way around the cliff. So, pew, pew. Lillekanin actually showcasing something I've mentioned before on the cast, and people never seem to believe me about. If you've only got 1 Reaper DPSing, the DPS is so bad that an SCV can actually repair the damage that a Reaper does. Ooh, that's a big catch, though.
First blood.
Not only does Lillekanin shut the Reaper down, this prevents further scouting information. A second Reaper was coming, but again, this is a unit that has to snowball. 1 Reaper cannot get much done, if anything done, really. So losing that first one is a bit rough. Having the second one out meant he could have possibly done a little bit of damage, but still, scouting information stripped away from him. Revenge going for the earlier command center, while Lillekanin had wanted to go for this medevac, and quite frankly, the opening Lillekanin is going for, this is something that works really fantastic against players who go for Banshee openings, who go for Hellion openings, but, or not Hellion openings, sorry, their own Marine openings, but without the medevac. I don't know if he'll go for the Widowmine drop, or if he'll go for the Marines, because there's some weird variations of this that involve walking units across the map. That's why we already have this first Widowmine sitting where it is. What I imagine happen, of course, though, is anything he doesn't put in the medevac, he'll walk over and try to elevate her up later. But these will all just go into the medevac. Kind of wish he would heal the Marine, since he's waiting for that last 6th one to come out. Of course, the one that's really injured, really damaged. Oh, but a scan goes down, and he just misses the medevac. Now, he may have heard that. If he was watching, if Revenge was looking very closely, which you usually aren't when you scan, he may have heard the medevac load and move out. But even hearing it doesn't really necessarily mean you can deal with it. The Hellions going to be 4 of them when the medevac gets here. The Widowmine can be, oh, what's he actually planning to do here? Maybe force a fight at the ramp? Put the Widowmines here, have the Hellions come out, shoot them. Viking Home probably going to be landed to deal with this. Yep, does go down on the ground, and the Reaper will be shut down. While this is happening, though, Marines looking to take out some of these supply depots. The Hellions have to be careful where they can engage. That Widowmine is in range. They'll pop off one of the Hellions. The other one's very low, and Lillekanin microing the way he is. He's actually not taking the most damage from these. This could be much worse as far as fire damage is concerned, but the Viking on top of the medevac limits this so heavily. If this goes down, so does the high ground vision, but also the healing capabilities. Another Widowmine shot goes off, picks off another Hellion, and that splash damage requires repairs. Killing the supply depot is kind of cute. It's a bit of damage. It's not like Revenge is getting... Well, actually, Revenge is getting supply. Hold on, I was looking at the wrong supply. Revenge supply blocked upon losing that supply depot is actually going to be very frustrating and very difficult to deal with. And he's not able to put a new one down. He may have to drop supply. No, he puts 2 in the back. As a Terran player in this situation, it's very tempting to drop supply, but you know if you drop supply on top of this depot, they're just going to pick that one off next. Widowmine is going to keep these SCVs from repairing it. That zoning mechanism with this one Widowmine, Lillekanin with really cool tactics. I mean, this push itself isn't so special, it's not crazy, it's not cheesy, but Revenge was expecting Hellions. That's why we had that full wall off. Unable to deal with this, SCVs are pulled into the Widowmine, goes off on the SCVs, but Lillekanin can pick up. He doesn't pick up, loses the medevac. He'll pick off one of the Hellions, but he's got another Widowmine to fall back to, and I kind of wish he had just done that in the first place. Regardless, gets his money worth out of this attack, because what he does, more so than kill army units before anything else, he actually supply blocked his opponent quite heavily for a long time. Revenge still hasn't fully recovered from that supply block. Back at home, Lillekanin was able to establish his own natural base. He's got a Raven out, he's got the Viking floating around looking for Banshees, but we all know that's not coming anytime soon. 2 siege things, actually. You know what? This gets worse and worse for Revenge. There's a Banshee out and a Viking, but these Marines should be able to cover the tanks. If the tanks can get a good siege position... Well, you know what? I take all this back. Lillekanin's not going to be able to fight in the air too well, I think. It depends how this first fight goes. This sounds so silly, but this one Viking versus one Viking and Raven versus Raven is huge. Whichever gets the first volley off, if someone goes for Seeker Missiles, Auto Turrets, Point Defense Turrets, it's a really hard call to make, but I think Seeker Missiles win out most of the time. Auto turrets are always great, of course, but the tank's going to win the ground fight for sure. Auto turrets do come down for both players. Raven is about to fall, but the Viking is winning the air battle, and that's all he needs. Because what he needs is air vision, air dominance, in order to get those that siege tanks the high ground vision they need. Picks off the Raven, picks off the Banshee. But this tank may actually fall to the Hellions. It's a weird thing to consider, but the Viking almost needs to land. I take that back, though. We focus on the SCVs instead. Still, though, a Banshee coming forward. May have to burn another scan. Will burn another scan. Unfortunately, this won't kill the Banshee. This is why you really need to keep that Raven alive, because you can't afford to keep scanning to babysit one tank. This, quite frankly, should be brought back home. Caligore in chat asking, anyone else think it's badass how the trees catch fire? I'm going to agree with you 100%. Ever since I first saw that on Ohana forever ago, I always thought it was like one of the coolest things that they... it's a subtle thing in the background that obviously doesn't affect the game, but I think that's pretty cool. Anyways, tank DPS unsieged is just a little too much, and Revenge is... it doesn't look like it, guys, but he's holding on by, like, literally the skin of his teeth. Like, this game could end for him so quickly, so badly. With the new Banshee coming out, it'll be okay. Looking to kill a couple more SCVs, but you don't trade tanks for SCVs. That's not how this works. That's not how this tango goes. So has to finally pull back. He was trickling units across the map, and it was kind of an all-in scenario. Not a fun one to be in the first place. But both players left with a pretty similar economy. The difference is, for a player who kind of investing in mech here, Revenge really needs these extra geysers. He can't afford to take them right now. Like, he's literally got the money for it, but he's been so much time spent worrying about Lillekanin's actual army that if he were to take these, there's a chance that he can't build anything else. But he's stocking up a lot of minerals. This is for 2 siege tanks? What's he saving up for here? Okay, yeah, Blue Flame coming out. He's going to invest in the Hellions pretty heavily here by the looks of it. The starport will, of course, be for Vikings. You need the double production and the air dominance when you're going mech. The idea is the Vikings are really your only anti-air. You're not going to be able to get Thors for a long time. Thors end up, by the way, being kind of the end game for Terran mech versus mech, but that's not really what I think is happening here, because the Lillekanin... Wait, no, hold the phone. I was going to say he's going for the starport builds, but he's actually throwing on a second factory instead of a third starport. So in that regard, this may just end up being very, very Banshee heavy. He's already got a really nice Viking lead, and it's going to take a while for Revenge to catch up in that regard. He has to kind of hide these away in the back of his base, because he doesn't have turrets. He doesn't have more than 2 Marines. Lillekanin may actually see the Viking, or the Hellion. Yeah, a little unfortunate there for him. Sorry for the odd yawns, guys. Not bored with the game, just been casting a lot today and I'm sick, so trying to fight this off. But yeah, the Hellions falling back here just a little bit. They can't quite deal with this. The Vikings landed on the ground. In fact, may just even be alone too much. There's a siege tank on the high ground, though. These will wreck the Vikings. He needs to reposition these. The unsieged tanks of Lillekanin in a very awkward spot, forced to back up away from this just a little bit. Scans get the high ground vision. A couple extra shots from the Vikings are going to work out magnificently, but the Vikings coming out of revenge, not quite numerous enough. SCVs are pulled on top of the tanks. Where is the blue flame support from the Hellions, but non-existent just for revenge? So Lillekanin losing a lot of his units here. Forces a liftoff, granted. May almost pick this off. There's no way this burns. He's going to be able to repair that. He can actually land to finish it off, I think. With 122 HP, there's no siege tank in range to defend against this. Recognizing that, goes on the ground. He'll pick off a lot of SCVs, if not the command center. Yeah, but realizing he needs to keep these Vikings alive, decides to back off for the time being. But back on for Lillekanin. He just, again, he threw away a large army supply. They kind of traded out evenly. The resources lost, not that desperate. But again, I want to remind you guys, the Lillekanin is currently 1-up in this series. It's okay for him to make these mistakes. He's got another game entirely to fall back on. But revenge, again, he's faced with anything but standard. You give this guy Happy, you give this guy Cass, you give this guy Joxy, for goodness sake. He'll put on a show that can be rivaled by many. Can't be rivaled by many. But against Lillekanin's stranger tactics and more all-in plays, it's a little bit harder to deal with. Sorry, just taking a water break. But looks like he realizes his opponent's got reactor Vikings out, so play mech himself with 4 ports. Whoa, what? 4 ports off of 2 bases? Why would he do this? It's not about the mineral count. You just simply don't have the gas for this. While this is going on, his opponent can't get any anti-air whatsoever, so the Banshee is going to town on top of the SCVs. Was there never an engineer? It's coming out of the natural now, so he's not got any turrets available, sadly. Widowmine's coming out, realizing this is probably his best bet for anti-air, but Widowmine's actually burrows so slowly that Vikings can't focus them down combined with that Banshee. The SCVs are being wrecked. Back at home, Lillekanin's got a really nice defense set up. This barracks is actually going to buy him the time he needs to siege up these tanks, and I think he should be able to hold. Revenge has lost everything behind this. This is an all-in ploy, but I don't think he has enough. GG is called. Ladies and gentlemen, Lillekanin will take the series 2-0. Your unlikely champion, as there was very few bets placed on him. Congratulations in advance on the big payouts, and he will go on to the finals where he'll fight Golden in what is either a best of 3 or best of 5.